Is your wife frustrated with you and you can't understand why? Well, I'm going to tell you the secrets on how you could transform your relationship so that she loves and respects you. Stay tuned.
¿Quién no se equivoca? Humans make mistakes, porque recordemos que todos somos humanos. This is your faithful friend Sandra Graves, and I hope you are feeling love today, because I am feeling love. And the topic today is not going to be exactly about love, but really for you to gain it, you got to work it, okay, for you to have some love. And the topic today is going to be being the strong man a woman wants. You know, every woman wants a strong man. Even the strong women that deny it, they want a strong man, because it's all about balance, okay? Balance, balance, balance. And perfect. We have an author, a man that is created this amazing book that is being translated in many languages. Some languages he don't even speak, okay? But many languages, and that's what we're going to be talking about today, just important topic. And his name is Elliott Katz, and he's going to be telling us more about it. But instead of me talking more about him and going, oh, you know, simply we're going to just have him talk. But before that, I want to remind you that if you are a author, a speaker, if you have some kind of wisdom that you want to share with us, then get in touch with us at info@envivoassociate.com. And that was in English, in Spanish, so I'm going to say it in English. info@envivoassociate.com. Again, info@envivoassociate.com with your host, Sandra Graves. And let's go to Elliott. All yours, baby.
Okay, Sandra, good to be here.
So tell us about you. Why should we listen to your advice about being the strong man a woman wants? So who is Elliott first? Tell us about you.
Well, I live in Canada, and it's a lot of snow up here, so it's nice and cold. And it's Valentine's Day. And, you know, like a lot of people, I was married and I got divorced. And like a lot of people, I blamed my ex-wife for everything. And then I came to the point of asking myself, what do I have to learn from all this? I don't want to go through this again, and I don't want to end up in the same situation. So what do I have to learn? So I started talking, listening to other men. And the more I listen to other men, the more I realize we're all confused. We really don't have a clue with men today. There's so much confusion. And then I started reading books. And, you know, the books today, they didn't really answer the questions I was looking for. And then I turned to what, you know, for generations, fathers used to teach their sons about being a man. And I was blown away, excuse me, because what I heard coincided with what I heard women complain is lacking in men today. They don't show leadership, they don't make decisions, they don't take responsibility. There seems to be this giant disconnect. You know, men today, they hear all these things, be sensitive, develop your feminine side, act like a woman, all these things, don't talk like a man. It's like, the women don't want that. Women want real men. Except men today, they're so afraid. They think if they make a decision, the wives will say they're controlling. So they just think, well, I'll just do whatever she says, and then she should be happy, right? Right, Sandra? She should be happy.
Yeah, no,
but they're not happy because he's not being a man. A woman really wants a man who will show his share of leadership, make decisions. You know, I've talked to a lot of women. It's so fascinating that women will complain that a guy asks them out, and then he can't even choose a place to go for a cup of coffee. You ever heard about this? Yeah. I couldn't count the number of women who told me this. But the man, he thinks, oh, I'm showing her, I'm not controlling, I'm letting her make the decision, I'm such a nice guy. Why won't you give me a second date? And they don't seem to understand. Like, oh, but all the messages they hear say, oh, I don't want to be a toxic, masculine man. I want to be a good man. I don't want to be toxic. So they think I'll be this nice guy. But for the women, they say, well, look at this guy. He can't even choose a place to go for a cup of coffee. How would he handle being married? How will he handle, when you're married with children, there's lots of challenges. How would he handle? He can't even choose a place for a cup of coffee.
So why is it that you wrote this book? Why do you just, was the perfect man in your relationship, and that's why you wrote this book, or what triggered the book?
Well, I decided to put together all the things that I learned. I kept writing them down. Like, whenever I learned something important, I wrote it down. And then I decided to put it together in a book, really, because when you're writing, it helps you learn it yourself. But then I realized, you know what, it's not just me. That was the amazing thing. I thought it's just me. Yeah. Then I realized it's my friends too. And then I realized like it's North America, United States and Canada. So I decided to put it together as a book to share what I learned, to help other people so they don't get divorced, so their kids aren't from broken homes. And then the amazing thing was I started hearing from publishers around the world who wanted to translate the book into their language. So the book's been translated to 24 languages in Europe, Asia, Latin America, Africa, like all over the world. So it really said to me, like the fascinating thing was in countries like Brazil, Brazil, the whole image, machismo, where did it start? In Brazil. Yeah. There, the book sold tons. Because here they think they're so macho, but they're not. And in Japan, where you think every man has a geisha, it's like, no, they needed it there too.
And Japanese too?
Yeah, Japanese. And all these Eastern European countries like Poland and Russia and Ukraine. And
you are educating the world.
No, but the fascinating thing is, I thought, in those countries, the men are still those traditional strong men. Ah, they need the book too. So I realized.
So is this only for married people, or does it serve the young kids, young men?
No, you know what? The fascinating thing is women buy the book and they give it to their husbands, their boyfriends, and to their sons. I've had women say to me, my son is going to start dating soon. I need him to read this book. He needs to learn this so he'll know how to be with a woman, how to treat a woman. So he'll,
let me shout out to my son. Emmanuel, are you listening? Hello? Go ahead.
No, they need to learn it because it's these are things that really for generations men were taught. And what I realize is that it doesn't come naturally to men. They need to learn how to be a man, and usually they learn it from a father. But so many men today, they grew up without fathers, or from divorce, or their fathers worked long hours, and they really didn't have the role model. How does a boy learn? He watches his father, but his father was working or he was absent. There's so many men today, they didn't learn what fathers used to teach their sons about being a man. Yeah. So really, and the book is in the form of a story of a grandfather teaching these insights to his grandson, because the father didn't teach the grandson. So it's the grandfather, making that connection, teaching him the wisdom that fathers used to teach their sons. Yeah. That a man has to be a leader. He has to show leadership in his marriage. Not a controlling tyrant, but when there's a decision to be made, when there's a situation, and the man just says, "Oh, what should I do?" I couldn't count the number of men who think they're being great husbands. They come home from work. Okay.
Let's start out with you telling me something that right now the men that are listening can use. Tell me something that you noticed that was a problem, and the men that you share this book with, they say, "I have the same problem."
Right. Okay. So here's a common situation. The man thinks, he comes home from work. He asks, "Well, what should I do?" And he just does whatever she tells him to do. And he thinks he's being a good husband, but she doesn't understand that women hate having to tell a man what to do. It makes him feel like he is a child and she is his mother. Right? There you go. Women know this. Men don't know this. So I tell them, know what's going on in your family. So look at situations. And there's I'll give an example. One friend I was coaching, his daughter had dropped out of school. She was just sleeping all day, going out all night, coming at 6 o'clock in the morning, and he blamed his wife because she wasn't doing anything about it. I said to him, it's your responsibility. You're the father. It's your job to do something about it. So I told him, and it just worked out amazing because he has a business. I said, hire her. Give her a job in your business. That will give her a reason to get up in the morning. She won't be able to stay up all night, and she'll be doing something. You can't do nothing. Yeah. So he did it, and this is like old-fashioned advice, right? It's like either you go to school or you go get a job. So he did it, and really, she's blossomed. She's doing so much better now. And now, like, this is your job. You're the father. Don't look and wait for the wife to tell you what to do. Don't blame her. That's the kicker, right? They let the woman do everything, and then they can blame her when things go wrong. I said, Don't blame her. You're just going to destroy your marriage.
What about the young guys that are trying to become a man? Because I can tell, personally, I have an amazing son. He already is an amazing man. However, you always have to learn. As I keep growing and getting older, because I am getting older, I am learning from other people. So if you are actually talking to a man that is already doing the good things, what else can you say that, something that you discovered when you were young? Because let's talk to kids, young guys that are 20-something years old. What advice you can give them? Because right now, you have been telling me about the husband and the man with the daughter, but let's talk to the young ones, the 20-something, early 30s, that one.
Well, it's interesting. We hear so much about toxic masculinity. We think like being a man is a negative thing, but actually manliness is actually a very positive thing. And if you look up the meaning, it's actually the noble qualities of a man of mature character. So these are things like being decisive, like, make a decision. Don't just say, I don't know, what are you, like, you ask a woman out, you say, where does she thinks yes. She says yes, where do you want to go? I don't know. But it's not just dating, it's everything. Make decisions about your life. Have courage. Winston Churchill said, courage is the most important quality because all other qualities come from having courage. And it's really true. You want to develop yourself, you got to push yourself to take on challenges and think, well, you might think you can't do it, but you push yourself, you have the courage to do it, and you can do it, and you keep building on it. It's being honorable, having integrity, having self-confidence. Work on those things. And the most important thing I tell young people is you only acquire those traits by doing them. You can't think about it. You have to say, okay, here's a situation. How do I show self-confidence? Push yourself to do it. And you keep doing it, and it becomes part of you. Being decisive.
What about in the point of the romantic? Women right now, they have this obsession of, buy me flowers, buy me candy, buy me, and they think that is what makes a man because she's going to buy you stuff. What do you tell the men in this kind of situation?
Well, I tell them when they take a woman out, pay for her because it makes her feel special. That's what, today we have all these ideas about equality and splitting the bill or the woman should pay. I said, you know what? You do that, she's not going to go out with you again. And it's not about the amount of money you spend, or it shouldn't be. It's really about making her feel special. So, you take her out, and when we'll do this, they'll take out their wallet to try to pay for themselves or to pay. I said, they're testing you to see if you're actually going to insist on paying. There you go.
I did that
They're testing you.
Yeah.
So insist on paying. Even if like she offers to pay, even if she makes more money than you,
yeah.
even if you decide you don't really want to go out with her again, because if you show her that you're a decent person, maybe she has a friend that you'll like.
Exactly.
So always pay, and make sure, and after the date, drive her home. Make sure she gets home safely. All these things. Open the car door for her. You know what? I've never heard a woman say
about the car, those stuff. I'm not too picky, but I know some people love that. That is not a big one for me.
It just shows
but my husband does. He does.
That's right. You want to make her feel special. She is special. That's why you plan the day. You don't just say whatever you want to do. If you take the time to think of something that you would both enjoy doing, it makes her feel special that you took the time to do this. You want her to feel special. It's not about spending tons of money, or it shouldn't be. And if you meet someone like that, and maybe she's not for you because she just wants you to spend money on her. But really show her that you want her to feel special. That's the key thing.
So what are the challenges that you found, and like when you actually communicating with a man, like we were talking earlier before we started the show about women or people complaining about their past relationships and all of that, and they keep picking up the same kind of people because they keep what
people keep making the same mistakes because they blame the failed their past relationships while they chose the wrong person, and they have to find the right person this time, and then they end up with the same kind of person and the same kind of situation, and over and over. You know, I met a guy who's been divorced 4 times, and I said, well, like, didn't you learn anything? Like, what did you learn from all this? And it was like he was telling me, it's like he made the same mistake each time. He really chose women that really weren't for him, weren't really, you know. He made all these excuses. I said, but wait, you have to change yourself. So, you know, when you're ready for a new relationship, like, you have to say, what do I have to learn from all this? Especially, you know, if you had 2 relationships that ended the same way, it's like, what's the common denominator? What's in common here? Me. Yeah. So what do I have to change about myself? And that's the main thing. When you do that, when you say, I have to be different because I want to be treated differently, I want to be treated respectfully, I want a decent relationship, what do I have to do differently to get the response I want? And that's really what the book is about. It's like, you could blame your ex-wife, you could blame the women you've gone with, and women can blame the men, but, you know.
No. I want a woman that is smart and strong, and a woman that pay her own bills, and I want her to cook for me, and I want her to be romantic, and I want her to listen to me, and I don't want to do anything.
Well, you know, that's the thing. So you think you're going to get that kind of woman? If you're not going, you know, you have, you know, a man has to be worthy of a woman that treats, you know, you want those things you want. Are you the kind of man who inspires her to be that kind of woman? So if you do nothing, you expect her to do everything. Well, good luck. But if you show her, you know, I'm doing this, you do this, like, you're both putting in. And she sees, this is the kind of man I want to be a partner to. Because really, what does a man want? He wants a woman to be his partner. So, but he has to be worthy of her seeing him as someone to be a partner to. And that's what my book is about. Work on yourself to be worthy. Be a leader. Make decisions. Take responsibility. You know, so many times you hear men blaming their wives for the things that went wrong. It's like, you don't get it. You're destroying your marriage. And even if she did it, and even if she pushed you into it, it doesn't matter. She sees you as responsible, and if she pushed you into it and you knew it was wrong, you shouldn't have done it, because now you're blaming her and you're just destroying everything. There's a problem, step forward and take responsibility and deal with it. That's what she wants. She wants you to
take responsibility. I'm going to take a commercial break. And when we come back, I would like you to read us something that you have in your book, something that you believe that can be beneficial to the people that are listening when we get back.
Okay.
Welcome back to EnvivoLIVE with your host Sandra Graves, and today we have Elliott Katz talking about being the strong man a woman wants. And we were talking about earlier about taking responsibility. So we actually was defining a man as someone who is responsible. So if you are a responsible person, please do me a favor. Put a HU in front of man and remember that you are only human. You are not a man yet. Once you decide to take responsibility, that's when you start becoming a man. That is advice from Sandra Graves to you, because you first have to take responsibility. That means you take responsibility and you start changing you, not the people around you. So let's go back to the real expert who is the author of Being the Strong Man a Woman Wants, a book that has been translated to many different languages. And now he's going to share something directly from his book so that we can have a little, you know, spying on the book to see. Let's go, Elliott.
Okay, Sandra. So in the book, what I've done at the end of each chapter, there's really a summary of the main points that I'm trying to communicate.
Okay.
So let me read several chapters here. Stop blaming others. Take full responsibility for changing the situation. The only person's behavior you can change is your own. Realize that she responds to what you do or don't do. When she opposes you, she may be testing you to see if you're strong enough and know what you want. It's an opportunity to push yourself to grow as a person. The bigger the challenge, the more you're pushed to grow. Mm-hmm. Being manly means having high moral standards, being self-disciplined, being decisive, having strength in your convictions, being honest, and having the courage to face difficulties. It's being confident and self-reliant. Love and giving come together. People develop feelings of love for those to whom they give. Problems often begin when people go from being givers to being takers.
Ooh, I like that. And that is a good topic to have right now, because that is the part. A lot of men want to be men, but they don't know how to be vulnerable, emotional, giving. They have a problem with that. It's like, if I give, I'm not a man. If I show emotions, I am not a man. Oh, like, really? Tell me more about that.
Well, it's important to give. It's important that both people give. I think sometimes it can be either the man or the woman. One is a giver, one is a taker. When often, one of the points I make in the book is, like, if you just give, you think you're showing the other person how to give, and often you're teaching them how to be a taker, because they're just taking from you. So it's important when you give to give the other person opportunities to give to you, not because you want to take, but just so they can develop feelings of love for you by giving to you.
I love that advice.
And what was the other? Oh, about emotions. You know, men are. You have this thing about. You know, there's all this talk about men should show their emotions. No, when appropriate, but. You know, would you want your husband? Would you love your husband if he came home every day crying and saying, "Oh, my boss is so mean to me"?
But I don't want him to be dry like an ice and cold and all that. Otherwise, that's why people get. That's why women cheat, because they find that men like, "Baby, I understand you. You know, you got to rest on my shoulder, and I am understanding." Right. Okay.
No, I agree. It's just, you know, we got to be careful, because emotion in the appropriate time and appropriate amount. But, you know, men today, they're told to be sensitive. You know, like, you can cry. I was like, okay, if your mother dies, you can cry, but don't come home every day from work crying.
That's right. I agree with that one. I definitely am. Which you haven't showed the book what it looked like. Okay,
here's the book. There.
Yeah.
That's,
that is. And could I see the side to see how thick it is?
Oh, it's that thick. Okay, it takes about an hour to read.
Yeah, so that's good. I mean, most people don't like to read nowadays. So if you had shown me like a 500-page book, I'm like, ooh, a lot of people are going to be reading that. But yeah, that's an easy book to read.
Because men like short books. That's why I wrote it short. I kept it short. It'll take you about an hour to read. And it's available on Amazon and as a paperback and an ebook, and also an ebook on Kobo and iBooks. And it's also available in bookstores. And if you go to a store and they're sold out, just ask them to order it. They'll get it for you pretty quickly.
Whoa, that's awesome. So how long are you doing speaking events and things like that on this book?
I've been doing it for a while now. And you know, I've done a lot of radio interviews, but now I've developed a presentation that I go out and give to people. And it's a real, like, it's just, you know, it's so interesting to see the reaction. Like, some men, it's like, it just hits them. It's like, yeah. Like, could you imagine, like, they're like 30, 40, 50 years old. They never really learned this before. And, like, it hits them. It's like, I got to do this. I got to do this. Because they really see, like, they can't understand why their wives don't respect them. They think, because all the messages we hear today in the media, I'm being non-controlling, I'm being so sensitive. It's like, yeah, but you're not being a man. A woman wants a man to be the rock that she can lean on, the tower of strength that she can look up to.
I agree with that.
That's what you got to do. Yeah. So when you tell them, it transforms.
You know, a lot of them, they get it that, you know, being the rock doesn't mean that you have to be I am not gonna curse. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna try not to. It doesn't mean that you have to be you know what I mean? Because there have some of them that their words are so harsh, their attitudes are so heavy, the way they talk, and they think that just because you speak strongly, you talk down to a woman and all that, that make you a big man. I am so macho, you gotta listen to me, you know. I think it's just a fool. He's not a real man. So,
You know,
so tell me more about that.
no, I just think, see, that's the whole thing. Like being macho, the sort of showy self-centeredness, that's not being a man. That's not being manly. I just read to you what being manly is. Being macho is like self-centered, only wanting things your own way. It's like the difference between, like people say to me, oh, if I show leadership, am I being controlling? I said, well, you know, leadership and controlling are opposites. A leader thinks about what's best for his family, thinks what's best for his relationship. Because someone who's controlling just thinking about themselves. They're so insecure. They only want things their way.
Yeah.
Really, it's opposite. A leader is someone you admire because he's doing what he thinks is best. Even though it's probably not the best thing for him, it's probably the hardest thing for him to do what's best for his family. But he's taken on that responsibility. That's a man.
Yeah.
Not someone who just like, oh, whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like so many. And as you know, so many women said to me, you know, they are divorced and they say, well, you know, because my husband, he wasn't a man. Like, if he had read this book, maybe we'd still be married. Really, I've had that comment a few times.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I did have that experience with my past relationship. I'm not going to be specific with which one because then you're going to hear and everybody going to know. But with my one of my past relationship, it was more of a trying to please me in every way possible. And it was really aggravating because I felt if I have shut down or something had happened to me, I cannot depend on this person because they're always trying to get my approval for everything. It's like, come on, get some backbone, think for yourself. Stop trying to get me to think of stuff and do stuff and all that kind of stuff because I know I can take care of myself. Most women out there can take care of themselves. And really, the reality, they don't need you for that. That's the reality of it. But they would like to have somebody that they can depend on, somebody that they can, you know, if when they are down, that person can, you know, be supportive. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And you know, you use the word backbone. That's another word I use. Like men today don't realize they have a backbone, and it's meant to be used to show courage and show, you know, be a leader and be a man. Like today, that men are so confused. It's really sad. It's really sad. No, you're absolutely right. You wanted someone who has backbone to step forward and say, let's do this, let's do that. Not just let me just do my best to please you. No, it's fascinating how there's so many relationships break up and the man doesn't understand. I was so good to her. You know, I earned all this money. She didn't do anything. She just went to fitness classes all day. Well, why is she so unhappy? Because you weren't being a man in a relationship. It's really fascinating. That's why I'm trying to change the men of the world.
I have a question here. What should men without good examples do?
Sorry, say it again?
What should men without good examples do? Those men that doesn't have a role model in their life,
right,
or doesn't have those coaches or someone in their life to show them how to be a man. What should they do?
Well, that's why I wrote the book. But really, you should look for someone you can watch and learn from. And it's like other things. When you want to learn how to do something well, watch somebody who's good at it. So look around. You look at your friends, your acquaintances. If there's not any men who are maybe older who have done it right, like they're real leaders. I remember, like, when I was learning all these things, like I used to think these men who are like so strong leaders, oh, they're old-fashioned. I wasn't really friends with them. You know, I was friends with guys who were like
Ralph Cramden from the Honeymooners.
Yeah. No, but what I'm saying is, so the men around me, see, we're all like me. But then I realized these men who are strong and take charge and are leaders, boy, I always admire them. So I said, I'm going to watch people who are good at it and watch how they do it and learn from them. And that's really how you learn anything. Watch people who are good at it.
Okay, that's good. So before we close today, what other things can you share with us before we end this interview? Well,
I think the most important thing that men have to realize is that women really want this. sometimes it's, I'll be speaking to a group, and if there's men and women, and the men will turn to the women and say, no, he's not right. This isn't what women want. And the women will say, yes, this is what we want. Listen to what he's saying. So it's really important to understand that women really want men to be strong and they don't want a controlling tyrant, but they want someone who shows leadership, makes decisions, takes responsibility. You're not, don't be abusive, but be a man with a plan. Like, show leadership. She can just, if she doesn't want to do what you suggest, okay, you discuss it, but just always like, oh, whatever you want, tell me what to do, I'll do it. It's not going to get you anywhere. It's just going to get your wife frustrated with you and fed up with you and not want to be with you. And if you got to change if you want to get her to love and respect you.
Oh, that's good. So thank you, Elliott, for sharing that information with us today. If you like what you heard and anything that he read from the book sparkles your interest, remember he said that you can find it on Amazon and you can find it in Barnes & Nobles, you said, right?
In bookstores, yeah.
You can find it in bookstores. Well, it's in a lot of languages. What, 24, he said? I'm sure you don't speak 24 languages, but at least one of them you can speak. I know I don't. But
also, if people want to contact me, they can go to my website, www.elliottKatz.com, and it's spelled ELLIOTT, 2 T's, and Elliott, KATZ.com. And you could contact me. I'd be happy to respond. I'm happy to hear your comments.
Okay. Well, thank you again. And thank you guys and women and ladies and young ones and crazies and men and humans, wherever you are. Thank you for listening today. Please leave a comment if you have any questions. And don't forget that we are here every Thursday in English with different interviews, different topics, and in Spanish on Tuesdays, hablándoles español a ustedes para traerles información válida y poderosa. Aquí tu amiga fiel Sandra Graves with you, your faithful friend Sandra Graves. Don't forget, we will be here whenever God allows. Bye-bye now. Thank you, everybody.